Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we are going to call this January 13th, 2026, a business meeting to order. Would, let's see what we can do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there
Any revisions to the agenda? Okay. Public comment. I didn't receive any forms, so I don't believe that if there are any public comments tonight. And I'll just keep moving through. Public correspondence. We didn't see any attachments there either. And so we'll move on to F, which is the approval of minutes. Is there any?
So on the special meeting on the 18th, I'm listed as present, but I was absent.
Any other?
I just had a question on the business meeting on the 9th. If you're present by Zoom, do it count?
It does count.
I was present, like I was present. Yeah. As I remember.
On the 9th.
Yeah, that's special.
Are you listed as being present or not?
I don't think so.
So we need to update. See,
But when I do, I do that.
okay. So on the 9th, we need to add Brady being present. And we'll remove Darcy for the 18th special meeting. Okay. Is there any motion on?
You wanna go meet by meeting?
Oh, we gotta go meeting by, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the monthly business meeting of December 9th, 2025.
I'll move we approve with that amendment for rating. Second.
Okay, so moved by Katie, seconded, by Lindsay, all in favor? Okay. Ready, and then I'll do the special meeting of trustees on December 9th, 2025.
Okay, I'll move that we approve that.
I amended it to match the, wasn't I just right after that? I'm still absent.
You're absent
But I'm
on,
not.
I don't know that she has read it.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she will.
Okay.
so with the amendment to that one as well,
Okay.
on the 9th. Okay, so that is moved by Katie and seconded by Quincy, all in favor? Okay, the last one is the special meeting of the board of trustees for December 18th.
I will do it for the minutes.
With the amendment.
With the amendments.
A second. Okay, moved by Jerry, seconded by Quincy, all in favor. Okay, good, what's that?
I was abstaining.
So we will now move on to Carmela with our student trustee report.
Alright, I'll start with the high school. There were some celebrations that happened before Christmas break, that I'd like to mention. The food drive brought to you by Leo Club was very successful and all food was donated to the local food bank. The blood drive was brought to you by HOSA was also very successful. The clothing plus other essential items drive for the warming center, which was a DECA project from Anna Rail and Alley Shores, was very successful, and the warming center got a lot of great things this year. The toy drive by Cancer Awareness Association, which extended to the Toys for Tots organized by Yes, was really successful, and there was a little Toys for Tots promotional stuffed animal throwing kind of thing at the basketball game, which was really fun. So everyone from the crowd got to throw a bunch of stuffed animals, and it's really cute. Comfy Clothing Day, or Comfy for a Cause, from Student Council, where students pay $2 to wear comfy clothes on Friday to help fund student council to treat 3 Angel kids to their wish list, so they all got really nice gifts for Christmas. The end of semester is coming up and finals are also at a rise. Freshman mentors, we went into base camps on Monday and kind of gave a spiel on how finals works and the schedule and kind of just taking like the stress away, because I know that can be pretty intimidating. So the students definitely felt a lot better about that after that. Poetry out loud took place during 7th period on Thursday. Classroom winners from the language classes went to compete in preparation for the regional competition. At the end, we had 3 winners and 1 alternate and a lot of ties. Junior Jasper Chisholm, junior Cassidy Craft, senior Lillian Nelson, and the alternate, which is sophomore Madeline Spear, all going to regionals, which is most likely to be taking place at FBCC. And then top 3 of regionals will go to state and then eventually into national, which I think Jake won last year. DECA is also coming up. All events were required to be, or written events were required to be submitted on midnight on January 9th. So all the students were cramming to finish that. We have around 85 students coming to Missoula, with a great amount of freshmen joining us for the first year. So that is really cool. And this year we get to stay in the hotel that is connected to the competition, so we don't have to walk. Robin Hood is also in its preparation stages. They are doing a mid-February performance. Speech and debate is moving along, defending state champions in direct competition with our arch nemesis Seagulls. Hopefully win. Basketball girls won against Libby and boys won as well. Tonight we are playing Ronan, I believe. Wrestling senior night was last week on Tuesday, which hosted Libby and Browning. Something new that's happening is the Positive Coaching Alliance, bringing in a group of guest presenters to talk to Whitefish coaches about healthy and effective coaching. And there's also a parent workshop taking place on Wednesday. Their motto is encouraging athletes with positive reinforcement, truthful praise, and constructive criticism. The goal is to get students to stay in sports longer and learn lifelong skills through coaching. And now I'm going to move on to the Moldown report. After a much needed break, Moldown has hit the ground running. We are about halfway through our 2nd trimester. Mid-year testing has begun in both iReady, EIBELS for all students, and MAST reading and math for 3rd and 4th graders. A selected number of 4th graders will also be taking part in the National Assessment of Education program in February. Students are being encouraged to work their hardest to show growth in all their testing. Teachers continue to pilot math curricula that we are looking to possibly adopt. This process will continue a little longer. It will then be time to discuss possible adoption. CKLA is going strong. Students are strengthening their reading skills while learning about ancient Rome and Greece, the human body, and Native Americans. So, to just mention a few. Recently, Miranda Shadow, one of our 4th grade teachers, was awarded a grant from Logan Health designed to be used to bolster health and activity among our students. Miranda has chose to use this grant to help the 4th grade strengthen their structured recess program by purchasing equipments for the structured activities. She has also purchased science materials to enhance the student science experiments. Congrats to Miranda and the 4th graders. And this is the middle school report. Student council sponsored holiday activities happened before break. The door decoration contest had a winning door for each grade. 5th grade was Mrs. Muth, 6th grade was Miss Rosenthal, and 7th grade was Miss Mintz, and 8th grade was Miss Chase. Our 7th and 8th grade PE classes have been starting the new year with some fun and exciting activities, archery and bowling. Students are excited and enjoying the new activities. Whitefish Middle School students will be conducting the winter iReady assessments over the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to see the progress our students have made over the first half of the school year. The 7th and 8th grade girls basketball season is in full swing. Each grade level has 2 full teams of about 10 student athletes each. Again, great to have student participation in our school activities. The 5th and 6th grade instrumental program is as popular as ever, especially with the colder weather. Ms. Snipes does a great job encouraging intramural program, and keeping the activities fresh and exciting. We are approaching the end of first semester of school, marking the halfway mark of the school year. The end of the second quarter and first semester is on Friday, January 23rd. With the new semester comes new electives and rotations for all students.
You. There any questions or who did you say? Who's Miranda?
She's a fourth grade teacher, Miranda Shottle. She used to be Miranda Tennyson. And she's restructured refab. Great.
I wouldn't say she's restructuring it, she's just working to improve some of the equipment and things that they can use to help make it more.
Spice it up.
Let's see. Got it. I love that. Thank you for explaining that, Carmela.
Interesting.
That's
Thank
so
you.
cool.
That was from Lavena's report.
That's good.
I know you have to go because you obviously have to go share, but I do have a question. Are you on student council?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that, I know the student council members were invited to come tomorrow for the input on the superintendent search.
Yes.
And I'm sure it doesn't sound like it's very exciting, but the superintendent's the CEO of the entire school district, so getting some student input would be fabulous.
Yeah.
To know what is people are looking for.
I believe,
So-
yeah, is our whole,
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Our understanding was that Shar was gonna come to
Or so-
our meeting.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're ready for, a lot of our officers are gonna meet with her.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I wasn't sure if they had to go and sign up or how it was working, but I just
It
wanted.
sounds like she was gonna come to us and then,
Okay.
I would kind of step out and give them some privacy.
I know it's
They're looking forward to
Ridiculous,
it.
some people don't understand what the superintendent does, so I think but it's important, and you're here every month, but speak to some of that, so awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sneak out.
Look at the game.
Okay, so we'll go to a WEA report.
Hi, everybody. We haven't seen you since last year, and I wasn't even here for the last couple of meetings, so. Had some other things come up, so it's nice to be back. And just wanted to kind of wish you guys Happy New Year and hope you had a nice break. And there's just a couple things kind of coming up for teachers in the district. One is on our agenda this evening, so I just wanted to mention a little bit about the calendars that, and kind of how our WEA members voted. I know Lisa will share a little bit of this as well, but we're close to 80% of teachers voted for the calendar with the full, option B with the full 2-week break. And some of the reasoning behind that, I was asked to share with you as board members. And there's really two kind of primary reasons. One, to vote more towards the 2 weeks off is that often teachers find in a 2-weekday school week that school tends to not be very well attended. And it's pretty tough to have much of an instructional focus when there's only 2 days. And that we find that just both teachers and students really do pretty well around here with that full 2-week reset, getting to see siblings home from college, getting to travel, getting to do some of the things around here that are the reasons that we live here. But definitely want to acknowledge that we know that that 2-week period is pretty hard on classified hourly staff if that's their primary employment. And so those votes are a little bit off. So just want to give you guys a little bit of background there. We also had our superintendent search firm, so Shar reached out to schedule some time with just WEA leadership outside of the time that we open for classified and certified staff tomorrow. So planning to meet with her tomorrow morning about 7:30. I'm gonna keep that meeting really pretty small. But one of the things, just so you guys are aware, with some transparency here, that we're really hoping that our superintendent search brings is to continue the IBB process. And that just to acknowledge how unique that is in Flathead County, that we're the only school district that is operating with IBB. And in that vein, Mr. Means and I have kind of helped to coordinate a lot of our members that participate as building reps and officers, IBD, different things. We have a training set up with Dave Lucky, who some of you know if you've gone through IBB, through the Department of Labor, and we're gonna have that opportunity to get everybody kind of refreshed and how to use some of those processes in our labor management meetings in our buildings and then for the district. Because we're just really appreciate how he facilitates and just to look at things from interest from all sides in order to make decisions that impact everybody. So we're definitely hoping that he can give us a little more structure for some of those meetings. And often we're really are able to solve a lot of things at the lowest level, but when you do need to bring something up at a higher level, it's really nice to have that process. So really, we're just shocked as teachers that we're almost at the halfway mark. It's really just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
To think that in 2 weeks, we're only halfway through the school year. But it's nice that every day to get a little bit more light in the sky. So I don't know if you guys saw the sunset, but it was just absolutely gorgeous. So that's nice. Oh, it's nice to see everybody and Happy New Year.
I just say, I appreciate you bringing up about the IBB process, because to me, it's just so ingrained in our district that I never thought that it would potentially not be there. So it's a good,
Reminder.
a good flag for us to think about. So I appreciate you bringing that up tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys valuing it as well. Really had a lot of feedback from our neighboring districts about how do we get there. And so those are some things that I love to, pick Dave Lucky's brain about.
Yeah.
That's our process.
Yeah, so thank you very much
Yeah.
for bringing it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
It did a real turnaround when we went to IBB because I participated while teaching in the other process. And IBB is 1,000 times better.
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said 80% of your staff likes, but then you also mentioned that the certified was.
Or that, yeah, so we were closer, it's right around 79% of our members voted for option B, which does have that full 2 weeks off.
Right. Just
And
curious.
especially given that the next year's calendar after that, the 27-28, there's no voting, there's no choices, there's just one option.
Yeah.
Leaned pretty heavy, I think, and having one more opportunity to have that nice break time. But the classified or hourly staff, that
Yeah.
particular group, it can be challenging.
Yeah.
Depending on your role.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, and right, you wouldn't have the numbers on that because you're not there.
I do actually. It was 61% voted of classified staff voted for option A.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So the majority were sharing that.
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
appreciate that. That's really nice to get to represent.
Sorry if I stole your thunder.
It just makes me that I have guests to talk about. Well, and I like to hear, you're gonna get our, like, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
that perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we will move on to the discussion and action items with A, which is the WHS expansion owner representative report.
Excellent, hi everybody. This is the January 2026 update to the expansion projects on the high school. Starting off with budget, as we always do, this remains consistent with the previous updates. The only thing that's changed is the total spent to date here, which is reflecting 1,615,323, which is on track for what we would expect at this point in the project. So no major updates there. And again, everything that is still TBD is rapidly approaching being updated, but still not at that point yet. So it still hasn't changed from previous updates. Jumping into current schedule milestone updates. This also remains consistent. Everything is still right on track at this point for our key dates on the project. The team is moving full speed ahead. I was telling Darcy coming out of the holiday, it's like hit the ground running because we're rapidly approaching things. So key dates are remaining consistent, which is a very positive thing. The key monthly updates, there are a handful here and a couple others that aren't on this sheet, but I want to touch on, starting with the design team. They've been doing a great job, and in December, they completed the 50% set of drawings for the athletic phase. And with Martel's guidance, item number 2 there, we've been working through value engineering exercises on the athletic phase to help align the design with the budget. So that is in full force. Item number 3 there, we did complete the fiber switchover at the high school over Christmas break, which was a component to get us out ahead of the project starting, rerouting a couple things with internet so that we're ready for the project to start. So that was a successful endeavor. Item number 4 here, Annie is also tracking to complete the 100% of set of drawings for the academic phase on January 15th, which is a couple days from now. And then the 100% set of drawings for the athletic phase, they're tracking for February 5th. So things are moving right along and getting very close. Coinciding with that February 5th date, we're tracking putting the drawings out to bid early February, which will start the process for the bidding process will start at that point. And then a couple other things that I wanted to note. Last week, City Council approved a conditional use permit for the project, which was a step in the process to get us to permitting and plan review. And so then this week we were able to submit to the city for ARC review. So that has started with the city as well. And then the final thing is that I just wanted to note that we're also working on what we're calling a donor brochure for potential ideas and concepts if any interested parties would like to look at potential donation items. So that is in the works as well. And then visuals this month. I'm sorry, but also not sorry. We've got links on the page, which if we can open this, Dave is attempting to open one of these links. Anyone can look at these from a desktop, and they are fly-throughs of the model, of the design team's model. So they're really cool representations of the space on the academic side. Hopefully we can get one to open here. And if not, there's 4 different ones here. They start you in a different spot, each one of them. The first one starts in the common space that's being renovated. The second one starts in the second floor, Bulldog Boulevard, that foyer addition. The third is a view from the top of the stairs of the main common area. And then the last one is the first floor, Bulldog Boulevard. Each one of these you can spin around, 360 view, pan through and kind of navigate and fly through. So it's a really cool perspective to get an idea of what the design looks like. So looks like we're not able to load that here on this one, but
Looking at here's the one.
some computers are faster than others, but
We're gonna talk about this ahead of time, that it is challenging to load these, sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it drop. Because there's so much to it, this program, you can actually fly through and kind of look, yeah, it's not working here on this computer right now. And look through sections of the plan, and it's pretty cool, so you have that opportunity to click on those and look through them.
yep, and it gives controls, so you're able to see how to navigate a little bit.
Oh, there it is, you can see.
There we go.
So I don't have the skill to navigate it, right, but there are ways to navigate through. You could go up the stairs, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's right behind that little note that you're seeing at the bottom. It gives you a little guide, but you don't need to do it here. It does also render. So I think part of the problem is it's just dependent upon your graphics card of your computer, how fast it loads. But you can see here, you can spin that around just clicking the mouse. And this is a perspective looking at a new staircase that'll be going up to that second story. This is as if you were right through the main entrance looking at the common space. It expands to the north a little bit. So if you guys are, I'm sure all of you are familiar, the cross members of the steel structure there are existing. So that expands a little bit to the north and then that staircase gets added there. So they give a perspective of what the concept is for finishes to a certain degree and just what the space will feel like. So kind of a cool perspective on those.
You mentioned we had a committee meeting where we took each of these and looked through the entire project. It's a powerful way to see it.
Yeah, spent a half a day of coordination looking through the full model with engineers were there, the whole team looking through this and kind of coordinating aspects of it, getting feedback, and Annie put that together. It was a really great exercise. So these are just screenshots that start you in different spots of that model. But yeah, just kind of gives you a cool idea of what you're seeing from the digital realm.
And for people who can't visualize stuff off of paper, is this really?
It's really cool. Back in the day, we used to do page turns, we called them, and with the plans right in front of us, you flip each page one by one, and it's much harder to digest than something like that.
Yeah.
Most people can understand this really well.
Yeah.
Those drawings. Yeah. This is in lieu of a lot of details, right? Right now, the design team is putting details which are even less exciting than a floor plan. I figured this would be helpful to kind of get an idea. Yes,
City council meeting, were there members of the public who were also there?
there were.
Neighbors, after how was that received? What were some of the highlights or questions, just so we can be prepared as well?
I don't think at the final approval, it was unanimous approval. I don't think there were really any questions on the conditional use permit. That was a technicality because of the zoning that high school's been in. I think there was a question about some of the drainage on the site and where that might go, but it wasn't really pertaining to the CUP necessarily.
Okay.
I think Dave was at that meeting.
Yeah, there was just one question. It was just related to the drainage.
Told us it was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drainage.
Yes.
Great.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Of course, yeah. Exactly.
Okay, we'll move on to B, which is our Flathead County Statistical Report of Schools with Lucy Shea, everybody's favorite.
They did.
And it's one of my favorites too. So the report is attached to the agenda. We were also provided several hard copies. I don't have 7. I took one, make my own notes. So if you could please share, or you can look at the screen. And and I would like to start not in the usual spot where I usually start. This time, I would like to start on page 7. It's this page, dark yellow. And it shows the percentage of the general fund budget funded by local taxpayers. And I would really like us to look at this and take a moment and practice gratitude. Because when you look at Whitefish Elementary and High School compared to the other districts, we have the highest percentage of taxpayer money going in. And I want us to pause and be really grateful about that and appreciative. It's all the levies that over the years accumulate to these millions and millions of taxpayer dollars. And we are very happy about it. Okay, this is just the general fund. There's a similar table on page 15, which is this highlight orange color. This one lists the general fund, but also all the other tax levy funds. And again, it approaches that from the same perspective. What is the percentage funded by the local taxpayer? What's the percentage funded by the county and the state? And again, it is really interesting to see how high those percentages are that our community covers.
State should be thanking us also.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that work? Only 12%
Colvin.
Wow.
It is wild.
It's
Yes.
the most by a lot, you know, some districts it's like. Percent.
Yes. So we're very fortunate.
And that's not just because our property taxes are higher, so therefore it makes it a higher percentage.
Not necessarily, it's
Okay.
also, the tax base is huge. I.e., there's a lot of tax. If you go to Smith Valley, for example, there's not as many residents there to pay all those. So it's a combination of many different things. Taxable valuations, number of residents, and those additional levies. that we can- Then a little bit, I know you always like to look at the not out of state, the out of district attendance. In a nutshell, Whitefish is receiving more out of district students than we send up. In a nutshell. I would also like, I think we can skip the enrollment charts because everybody in this room knows that the enrollment has been increasing, especially at the high school. The growth is a little bit more leveled in the elementary and middle school, so we don't need to rehash that perhaps. But one last page that I would like you to look at, page 5, lavender. This is not purple, this is lilac. Okay, district expenditures per pupil. How much do we spend when we take our general fund budget? We divided that by our enrollment. Each month. How much are we spending per student? And you can see that both for the elementary and the high school districts, the expenditure has increased since last year. Again, these numbers are, composed of many different elements. We know that every time our budget goes up, because we have more expenses, because our people are making more money, and all other expenses are, the cost is higher, right? And then it would only make sense that, yes, those expenditures also are higher, but it can also be higher because of, better budgeting and, things of that nature.
Could also be higher because if your enrollment's dropping, but you're offering the same, so per pupil, you're spending more. You know what I mean?
As well, yes, exactly. If you spend $1 million on 50 students or on 100 students, that
Right.
would be a difference, right? So yes, that would be that as well. So that's just several highlights that I wanted to talk about. Any questions?
That was always so interesting to get that, like that.
I love
mean,
it.
My one of my favorite was the blue page more, but the out of district is where students are going, where they're coming from. I think that's so interesting. To see what happens.
Private schools and homeschools are still, so you can see, they draw a lot of students.
They do.
I'm always just amazed, especially there's so many people from out of state who have moved here to understand how many school districts there are.
Yes.
Like that's what, like there
Yes.
are this many school districts in
Exactly.
one county is
Yes.
so different than how other states run their schools. And it's just like, this is a lot.
It is. We have a lot of those small districts.
Mhm.
That make it convenient for the parents to send their kids to.
You
Instead
get
of
to, like,
driving
a lot of
far away,
countries.
right?
But is it interesting when they go to like what 6? There's a
They get some.
four. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
That's interesting, and I wonder if you have insight on this. I wonder if the trends are consistent across the valley. Like, for
It is weird.
example,
There was that article that came out in the Interlink that said school enrollment falls for the third year in a row in the Flathead County.
Yes.
But it's not the case for us,
No.
and so we're like an outlier, and I wonder if you have thoughts about that.
We're better.
Do you think it's because of the open enrollment? Do you think it's that normally the case?
I don't
Do you think it's gonna be a good publicity? Obviously, we have great
I
programs.
mean, we used to. Great programs, right?
Right,
Yeah, I think it's all those factors.
okay.
There's so many factors. It's hard to say. And one thing we know for sure over time. It's a current audience knows for sure that we've always had a lot of. So yeah, I think open enrollment does impact. That's one component, but I also think. It's been so unpredictable after COVID that it's just hard to see what's happening.
Right.
But one trend we have been watching is that middle school, high school, trend. We're seeing people that are peers moving in at those upper ages, older or students at those age regions.
Well, yeah, it kind of shows that, I think, and that's when you look at the 10-year, and I was like, oh, it just confirmed the data we put out during the audit, right? Yeah, and I thought, I was like, oh, this is just, it's always good to have it it's reassuring, and it's just like, yeah, again, the increase when those kids start to get older. And I think when you look at like the homeschool numbers, you could really see they're started to really drop off once the kids started to get older as well, so it really makes sense in that trend. Interesting though, that other districts aren't having that same experience.
Yes.
Right, that at their districts enrollment is going down for the third year in a row, but in our district, we're continuing to increase. I think it must mean you're doing a good job.
But we always have to think ahead.
Right.
And look at it closely.
Because, yeah.
We know that the high school and the middle school, the enrollment is through the roof right now. We also know that those kids will be graduating now.
Right.
And the elementary class sizes that feed into that are now lower.
Right.
Right? So there will be a point when it's gonna make that difference. Unless other forces are in place, which we don't know about.
Right, we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
Right. It's interesting.
Yes.
Thanks, Lucy. Interesting thing to see.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I also have one more question. You know how we had that group come and talk about the lawsuit about equitable and quality schools? I feel like there's a lot, there's a big discrepancy here.
Yes.
You know, and I wonder if that's part of what they're looking at. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Okay. Just interesting to see how much per student,
Right.
all of that. Yeah. It's not, I don't know, huge range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So we will move on to item C, which is the school year calendars. These are blue.
Reading from the curriculum department. Attached to your agenda, you will see school calendars, 2 options for next year, and then 1 for the year after that. As Adrian shared with you earlier, thanks, Adrian. The majority of the stakeholders did vote for option B next year. And then there wasn't a vote for the year after. And just a couple notes about the calendar. The calendar is really a complex issue. Everyone is really passionate about it. But there isn't a lot of wiggle room in it. There are things that just make sense, right? We want to start school about the same time as everybody else in the valley. We have agreed to have spring break because we have so many families that have a foot in one district and a foot in another district. It's important that we maintain that same spring break with everyone. And other than that, there isn't a lot of other options to put in the calendar. I did, Quincy, I know that you were concerned about high school graduation, so I did make note of that down there on the bottom.
I just think it's a nice thing to have on a calendar.
But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question about parent teacher conferences, which I'm also glad is on the calendar because so thank you for that. It's just odd to me that it's on Monday. I was just curious about why.
We moved it to a Monday. Because typically in November on that Friday, we have had a number of tournaments fall that day. And so we have we have parents gone and we have families gone, we have students gone and coaches gone. So to alleviate that, and having to make up those conferences, we moved it to try it next year to a Monday. And you'll notice all the other PAR days are also on Monday.
I did notice that.
I personally think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because
That's just curious.
Friday was always a bugaboo day, because half of your, either parents are canceling or teachers are canceling because they're gone. So a Monday, almost everybody's there on Monday. I think that's a brilliant, I think we should do it on Monday always.
We'll try next year, see how.
So currently, because we've been doing them on Fridays, what happened, or how do those teachers who are coaches or have other duties, how do they make up those hours? What happens with that? That's something that they just get written off, or is that?
They move up another.
Yeah, so, but like, so the teachers that are here are contracted for 8 hours, so they're in the building, whether they have parents or not, they're like sitting at a desk, at least doing, but if you're a coach. Does a parent then have to call, or is there another way that they're making up those hours? And I'm asking because I think it's a contractual issue, right? It's part of the CBA that they're required to make up that time, so. I'm just wondering how that works to make sure they're getting in, like, is it 7 hours, 8 hours? I mean, are we tracking that in a way, or how does that work?
I believe the principals talk with those teachers about creating a schedule when they get back.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
And then are those parents who have students in that classroom then email to be like, this is when I'm available for that?
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the principals. It's probably different at every building. You could go ahead.
It's happened a time or two where I've had a teacher who's been ill.
Uh-huh.
Or I think recently we had one who lost a parent and had to leave. She just came back and then she notified all her parents. And just set up a new schedule for days that she would be available on, which days after school. And then they reschedule. That's how she worked that. Worked really well for her.
Can't speak to that. As a parent, I think Monday's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I've had it where you go in on Friday and so you're meeting with all the other teachers on Friday, but then a lot of times the sports people don't know they're gonna be out until the last minute, because for example, they made it to the district's divisionals or whatever. And so then that week they call and they say, I have to reschedule, but it's like hard for you to reschedule your time and come in multiple other times because it's not a consistent one day makeup day. So I think this Monday thing is,
Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
yeah, wonderful.
Very good.
Well, we'll
Great
try it
idea.
next year, but you'll notice it reverts back the following year.
I was kind of curious. I was
Yeah,
like,
and the
okay.
reason why,
Yeah, because that calendar's tricky.
yeah, the following year, the 27-28 school year calendar is tricky because of the high school expansion. So we're trying to keep staff and students out of the building as long as we possibly can. That's why we are not starting school until after Labor Day, or after Labor Day. The staff days are the 2 days before Labor Day, and then students don't come until September 7th. The other thing that complicates that 27-28 calendar is that there's a Western Divisional Volleyball tournament in Whitefish, November 4th and 5th.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we had to put conferences back on a Friday, and we moved our PIR day from September, where we normally have it for staff, or September PD day. We moved that to November as well, because if we didn't, we were going to have to go into the next week of school in June. And that felt really late. So that was our way of creatively moving, and I'm not thrilled about having that PD day in November, but it was the best, and taking all things into consideration, I didn't, no one wanted to go into the fourth week of June for school. So that just seemed like the best option, to make the fourth the PD day. And then that evening they would do conferences, and then Friday they do conferences. And the good thing about that is the tournament's here, so hopefully that will be less of an impact.
So I'm thinking, was it basketball we had last year?
Yes,
And that was a lot of hands on deck.
yes.
So is volleyball as aggressive as basketball? Is that feasible to do PD and PIR days? Are we gonna need staff to help with the?
I'll defer to Carrie.
It's not quite as intense as basketball in terms of the personnel needed to help facilitate it. But anytime you're hosting multiple teams like that, it will be busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's doable.
Our PD day only goes from 8:30 to 3:30, so that's helpful,
Mhm.
right?
And there are conferences after that.
Just K-8s in conference, not the high school. Cause the high school does 6 hours of conferences, where the K-8 does 9 hours of conferences. The high school takes that other 3 hours and they do something with the freshmen in the spring. So it frees them up in the evening.
Okay, I was just curious.
To
I was
help.
thinking about that basketball tournament. I know it was a big lift.
Yeah, it's tricky.
No, I know it is. I'm just making sure we get to it all. And then we used to have off a day typically in April. Are we not doing that anymore? Like the Friday before Easter? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's no longer in policy.
Okay, that's fine, because I always thought it should have been on Monday anyway, so I was looking and I was like, it's not on there anymore, so I was just curious where it went. I-
Change in board policies.
Okay.
I'm just curious. Like you said, the 27-28 calendar is reflecting our construction needs.
Yep.
Is it weird that we're hosting a volleyball tournament in the middle of construction?
Well, hopefully, most of it will be done. It should be done before school starts.
That's why we're starting. in
Gotcha.
September.
That's why we're starting late. We're pushing the start
Okay.
date back as far as possible.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Does that make
Like, how did that go together?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds
what
terrible.
we really tried was next year. Trying to get out.
Got it.
We didn't want to push us getting out into the following week because that delays construction. So we're trying to get people out of the building. Next June, so that we can get in there as long as possible, and we're trying to keep people out. To finish it all up.
What kind of feedback did you get about starting after Labor Day? People might love that.
Well, I mean, there was no option, right? So. It is what it is.
I'll just be curious about some of the fall sports by starting after Labor Day, because there's multiple things that happening before school even starts.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
golf, football, cross
Yeah.
country. Like there's a lot of sports that have.
Yeah.
They start the 14th of August typically, so then now they're fully out of school for the first
Yeah.
several.
And
That's
again,
kinda
I'll
weird.
defer to Carrie.
Yeah.
Can speak to that.
And then homecoming is gonna be real tight. Once you start school, you're gonna hardly have been in school, and homecoming, they'll sneak up on you. It'll just be interesting.
Yeah, and we've done it before. Been a
Yeah.
while.
Oh, good.
I think it's gonna be great. I've always hoped we started after Labor Day and went more into June, because I think June's really rainy and everyone's excited, but June is not our best month.
No.
But August and September are so beautiful, beautiful. So I'm thinking this is a great experiment, other than the November thing, which I realize we have no control over. So we're experimenting next year with the Monday PIR days.
Yep.
We're experimenting the next year with the after Labor Day start. I'm wondering, and but Carrie can probably speak to this too, thinking of the calendar for next year. I mean, I think having 2 weeks off at Christmas is hard on families, especially with young kids. And I have a couple comments about that. I do wonder still how much instruction happens the 2 days before school gets out, even if it's a Thursday and a Friday.
Totally.
But I am curious if having students out of the building for that full 2 weeks will help construction. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be Christmas and holiday breaks in there for the construction crew, but I don't know if that changes anything for construction. Thoughts?
We haven't gotten into that detail in the schedule of where they might be at that particular
Okay.
junction. Although they are very cognizant about minimizing the disruption to the regular school day. So I would anticipate that they will take advantage of that time when we are not in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to my thoughts on option B, which is the full 2 weeks. I think for parents who have young kids, that's a long time to not have kids in school. Oh, or we can't discuss this yet. Sorry, I'm just.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
questions.
any other? Any more? Okay, so we'll go, is there any public comments on this item? Okay, then we'll come back to the board. Further discussion or motion.
But I also think about, and so families who have young kids, that's a long time for them to find care and daycare or alternatives for their kids. For parents who are working, but it's also hard for kids who use school as a safety place and use it for whether it's food insecurity or shelter or a place to be, camaraderie. So I think when we look at the calendar, we also need to think about some of the hardships it places on people, not just everyone's here to ski and gets to ski or gets to go off and do things.
Or has the same vacation time that your child.
Yeah, has the same vacation as your child has.
There's a lot of service industry people do not.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything that's their worst time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and as Adrian pointed out, right, it does affect that classified staff who
It
are
affects the class and
hourly.
yeah, and I would still go back to the point of, I don't know, regardless of when breaks fall, I think the few days before breaks are falling, they're always a little bit loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
So. It's very, though that's my 2 cents. I don't know.
And honestly, that's my opinion about going later in June, and teachers can always test it after Labor Day, like things just get swirly. Whether it's raining out or not, like it feels like the last week.
Yeah.
After Memorial Day.
Yeah, sorry, after Memorial Day, excuse me, yeah, it feels like, so then by even going further into June, it feels like there's just more.
More field trips.
Yeah. Like it feels a little, and also by the time you're like, high school, like jobs and stuff are starting for people, and now you're competing against everyone else in the valley who's out at least a week before you, if not 2. Or camps that start, that you maybe want to travel to, like, it's just a tricky, so. I know this is what it is, but I'm just saying for future reference, I will bring that topic up again if we have this conversation about a schedule that has options, just to put it in.
Yes. Oh, I think Quincy, I would agree. There are pros and cons
Totally.
to both schedules, right? When we think about attendance, I can tell you that our attendance and our absences go way up in the 2-day week, right?
Yeah.
Because they're only here 2 days,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And teachers, and Adrian mentioned that,
Yeah.
teachers are like, yeah, this isn't really productive learning time for us. On the other hand, we have classified staff that rely on that. And you talk about the children that rely on that safe place for school. So we understand that.
I think
Yeah.
the tricky thing about a 2-day week is we've had a lot of conversations about the importance of attendance. And I feel like those particular weeks undermine that conversation.
Yeah.
Because so many people take it off and it becomes like an equity issue, right? And a teacher nightmare of all the makeup work or, so I personally don't love a 2-day week. I have one question unrelated though, and it's not about next year really, but in the calendar in general. Somebody brought up to me, maybe in the future, would it be worth it to look at purposely staggering our spring break from others, because the airline tickets are crazy that week. Because the whole valley is trying to book tickets at the same time. So I'm wondering, as our valley grows, if we've ever considered.
We have, and I would say, yeah, okay, we have, but you have parents that work in this district and have children in another district, or children in this district and parents, and sometimes they're in 2 different districts. So
I understand that.
That-
Somebody mentioned to me and I was like, I'll mention.
Well, but years ago, one of the we came to this, that everybody in the valley would be on the same one, because of the fact that we did have kids going here and there, and it was
Or your
unfair.
parents work in one. And
Yes, and so
absolutely get
then
it for all these reasons.
that was why we went to that, and people in Whitefish may have the luxury of going on vacation, and some of these other people may not have that luxury. You know, so they'll have to buy their tickets ahead of time.
I would also say that fourth and fifth, having the parent teacher conferences, I appreciate you explaining to me that was due to the volleyball.
Yeah.
Et cetera, in construction, because I was, in my head, the first thought I had is parents are gonna go out of town. They're gonna make it a lot, they're not gonna
Yep.
have parent teacher conferences. If they're, I would be very curious what the participation rate, parent teacher conferences, if it's a 4-day weekend.
I would agree with
But-
you, and I think
That's just my opinion.
that year, it
It's
was
unique.
It is unique and it will be a great opportunity for us to get those dates in front of the parents early and often and communicate very well
Yeah.
why we're doing what we're doing and really those dates are for sure. But you're right, Quincy, people are going to do
They're
it.
gonna take it as yeah.
I just hope in the future, we would look at going back to that Monday. I just think that's a far better plan. It's better for the teachers who don't have to reschedule everything. It's better for the parents who don't have to find another time. And it just makes more sense because people are in, almost always they're there on Monday. You know?
I think it's a nice idea, I mean, I'm not a teacher, but just my own professional, like you come on Monday fresh too.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard, cause that's my parent teacher, it is hard, every 15 minutes having like putting on it, like that's a lot, so hopefully they'll come in. Feeling refreshed from the weekend.
Yeah.
See. Thank you for your work on this.
Thanks.
All right, yeah, thank you.
I know, definitely. Welcome to the committee first year. Project organized too. Notice how Josh did that. He's like Donnie.
I feel like it's interesting how we make the argument about the 2-day week a little, like but I look at people if my kids are starting a 2-week vacation on Saturday, there's a lot of people who are like, let's leave Thursday.
Totally.
And so then I think you just inevitably, you're gonna be pushing it into, and so I do think it's an interesting thing to think about is even though, yes, it's 2 weeks and they're gonna miss those 2 days. I think it opens an opportunity for the same opportunity, cause we don't have Saturday blocked off, I know, but. And those are 2 more vacation days that
Yes.
are involved, and so I do think it's
Totally agree.
it's, I know a lot of people who would say, well. We could get a whole week vacation in before Christmas and come home for, I don't know, it just seems like we always are pushing it.
Mhm.
That argument gets kind of pushed back every time, but is there a motion?
Do we have consensus about one calendar?
No, I would also note that the option A, which I think is the least favorable option based on the conversation, which is the 2-day week in December, it does get out of school a couple days earlier. In June, so I guess you're trading one for the other, and that also goes to the fact that they're not really doing much after Memorial Day. Or doesn't appear.
I mean, it feels. It's not for lack of trying, I'm sure it's just the kids.
Yeah.
And just consensus, we had a WCEA was 61% in favor of A.
Correct.
And the WEA was 79 in favor of B.
Correct.
Oh, that's not helpful.
Yes.
Oh, that is a split vote for sure.
Other groups too.
Yes, I reached out to the administrators, I reached out to kitchen staff, to the business office. Depending on what your group you were, right, they were in favor of one or the other.
So there's no
No.
consensus throughout the entire. One thing
Well, I would say there are more people
in favor of.
in favor of B than A.
Would you say the majority of the administrator?
Yeah.
What
B.
Right. I think there's one other rationale there, it impacts people on each building in different ways, a lot of different things. I think there's something about B that's advantageous to the semester exams. Is that correct? Yeah, I think it's the share opportunity.
Maybe an
The end of the
administrator
year.
could, like, why did the administrators like P better?
I don't think all of it, first of all,
Oh,
I think, but I think the majority.
Okay,
Carrie can speak to B.
okay.
Yeah.
To the end of the year when.
Our perspective at the high school, when we wrap up the semester, having a 3.5-day spread to spread our semester tests and reviews. So we start with the reviews and it's the final wraps, and then we roll into testing. It takes 3.5 days to get the most ideal, and then a particular calendar, the one that ends on a 3.5 day week versus a 2.5 day week. Helps us transition from getting the seniors out the door the previous tail end of the previous week, and then move into a good wrap with our other students. That was the big thing that stood out to me.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Otherwise, you're splitting finals over a book, yeah? That one? Pretty much.
That's you have to.
Yeah, that'd be all.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
That's helpful, thank you.
I think we should just mark it as well, that regardless if you get out on the 8th or the 10th, you're gonna be out from June 8th to 10th all the way to September 7th. That will be the never ending summer.
The
epic.
parents will be very glad school starts.
They're gonna have like a 18-day Christmas break and then like a 9-day summer.
Be like, we're learning.
We just all need to consider that.
Well, and you will notice though, on the
It's-
27-28 calendar, the Christmas break is short.
It's much shorter.
That's true, because we're gonna get feedback on that, I suppose. So I think.
That's really short.
This is something which I know we haven't gone there yet, but it does make me curious. So these
Students in the 27-28 calendar won't get out till the 16th, which is essentially a week later. So they're gonna have a really short.
They're gonna have a short summer. Exactly, we need to just like front load that this is
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah, I think there's gonna need to be a lot of communication.
If it's raining.
Dave's so glad he's retiring.
Mood has changed. It's not the same. I don't agree.
So, well,
Can I ask a
yeah.
question?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I just wanna make sure, you also surveyed a group of, like you said, the district office staff, folks who
Yep.
aren't in a specific, group.
Yeah.
And what was their
There say.
say? Okay, so just to give you an idea, there's a lot of different.
Yeah.
It's
So see,
was
is there
all-
any financial, I mean, as far as like getting books or like insurance, or are there, I know sometimes you end up with deadlines that are funky and weird, just like the high school has the finals. Is there anything funky in the business office?
Always. I prefer option A for 26-27 calendar because sooner the staff leave. We have fewer disruptions and we can work on, closing, financial statements, and so any day count. But I never get the version of the calendar I like. It's not fun.
If you like it, it's not gonna pass.
Next time like B and you'll get the one you want.
So I always prefer the one where the June days
better.
are, the June is short.
Okay, it's just good to know.
I agree.
One place only a matter of 2 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Well, you would be surprised, Main Street.
Oh, okay.
That's, a lot. But anyway,
Shoot, in either way, we're gonna have to let some people down.
Yeah.
You know?
I
Personally, I feel like we should put, obviously, like we always do, students first, right? And I think that finals thing is kind of significant.
Yeah.
So I would be in favor of option B.
would you like to make one motion?
Yes, I move that we approve option B for the upcoming school year and the only option for the year after that. That's easy. I know that.
Do that more often.
Yeah.
That
It's
is
hard, we didn't have another option.
motion made by Katie and seconded by Brady. All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you for a
Thank
robust
you.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it is, there's just lots of.
I do appreciate like not, I hope you don't, yeah.
There's a lot of understanding. that
Yeah,
goes into it.
because we will get asked, but it's super
Yeah.
helpful
Yeah.
just to understand the why, so we can, so thank you for.
Yes.
Humoring us
Quincy.
with the why, not
Yeah.
questioning anybody, it's just nice
Yep.
to understand it.
Anytime, and I think that's
Thank
important,
you.
that you can communicate that
Correct.
to
Yeah.
community members that say, why are we doing what we're doing? And
Yes.
that want to,
Yeah,
that
I
are frustrated with some of the way,
air
what they notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be interesting,
First year problem.
if we
Yeah.
put a link on the calendar
Uh-huh.
with a PDF explaining, because we do get a lot of, and I'm sure the administrators do too, and teachers get asked. I wonder if we could put, especially with the construction and things that are, it's the 27, 28 calendar, super weird. If we could have a link to explain some of those days, like the November PD and PIRs, and we're having a volleyball tournament, and just kind of like,
In the late start and
And
then
the-
out, like people would definitely.
yeah,
Wow.
and so maybe there just needs to be like at the top, this is an unusual calendar because of the construction and volleyball tournament, almost like a header up there or something, instead of it just being like a normal calendar, so it's not.
Depending on what our, we've talked a lot about absent policy, we know what that is gonna evolve into, and a lot of, I think. That goes into that is that we're setting the schedule for how many hundreds of families. And then we're asking them to sacrifice everything within their family to meet within these little blocks, and that's a big ask. So I think it's only fair that we're very transparent in a very easily accessible, transparent way. It's not always on their shoulders to ask, that we just make it difficult, so.
Right,
I think that's great.
Thank you. You get to stay up there.
Great, thanks for that conversation.
B is a school district updated professional development plan.
And I'll be brief. Every year we need to take a look at our professional development plan and update it as if necessary. I have just done some minor adjustments to it this year. And I'll point those out to you. Because of our screen time initiative, you will notice that we have the core under core principles for learning and instruction. It would be the fourth one down. I included balanced modalities of learning, including screen time, so that we keep that balance. And then right below that, because we just completed the new graduate profile, you'll see incorporate the skills identified in the Whitefish School District graduate profile into student learning. We're talking about ways that new graduate profile of how can we get those skills out to students. What is the best way to do that? And then the last one, you'll see continuously improve through professional growth, focusing on student learning through teacher clarity, learning progressions, intentions, and success criteria. As part of our accreditation next year, we received last year when we finished it, we received some feedback that said what we had done was great, but they would be looking for proficiency learning scales next time that we completed our accreditation report. So we wanted to make sure that we included that and start to work with our teachers on creating those plans.
What does that look like? Is that an iReady score? Does that work? Can you show me that kids are learning? Or
Well, it's more of a plan. So what we're looking at, that teacher clarity with learning progressions, intentions, and success criteria. I have some samples that I can share with you at another board meeting, but basically you're taking the standard and then you're breaking the standard apart to say, what are the progressions? What are the learning progressions that we need to create to meet that standard?
Okay.
And then within those progressions, what are the learning intentions? What do we intend our students to learn in order to meet that progression? And specifically, what is the success criteria, which are like I can statements to get there.
So it goes well with the clarity thing.
Yes, it goes very
just like.
And so is it linked to statistical data? So they have created, they know their short vowels and they've got 100% of that, or is it linked to?
It will be, it's linked to the standards basically.
Right.
Jerry, which would
Right.
be linked to our testing. Because all of our testing is.
And we can use
standards-based.
iReady scores and stuff like that?
We can, yeah.
I was just wondering, under the structure piece,
Uh-huh.
I know it says and a school board member.
Mhm.
And I know we've had a school board member on there,
Mhm.
but I know it's also optional. Right, we don't have to have a school board member.
I think we do.
We do. Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
So
think
thought
Dave
it
and I
was
looked that
optional.
up and no,
Okay.
it's,
For some reason, I thought that was optional, so I was just thinking, maybe we
Yeah.
could put it in parentheses, it was.
I think it's an actual accreditations.
Yes,
Then-
yeah,
Up to the
I
optional
do
one.
believe we looked at it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this item? It's back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I move we approve the. As presented.
I'll second.
Okay, that is, motion was made by Quincy and seconded by Jerry, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, we're going to move on to E, which is the budget amendment proclamation. Thank you. This is a good item.
We received notification from OPI regarding the Whitefish High School's eligibility for a funding increase in the amount of $139,725 due to a significant enrollment increase. So this is just the high school. To accept the state funds, I'm presenting a proclamation of the need to amend the high school general fund budget. The additional funding will be used to cover various rising costs, including curriculum, operations, maintenance, personnel expenses, and other. This proclamation is the initial step in the budget amendment process. A resolution to adopt the amendment will be presented at the next business meeting. I hereby request the board approve the proclamation.
I move we.
Okay, are there any clarifying questions?
I guess I have one, did they reach out to you or you found that, like, how did
No,
that work?
it is OPI's responsibility to reach out
Okay.
to each district by, I think, the first week in December.
That's the timeline thing, okay.
Because they're the ones who run the enrollment numbers based on the reports that we submit in October, based on the fall count. So they look at the fall count, what it was 2 months ago, and they look at the fall count a year ago that we based our current year budget on, and if there's a major discrepancy, we get extra funding. They just recently actually changed the formula, the way this is calculated. Before it was very easy, all it was a 4% increase in enrollment, right, in AMB. Well, now it's much more convoluted. It didn't get easier, but we're still getting a large sum of money.
So in theory, because of how our enrollment looks with each incoming year into the freshman class being bigger than the outcoming senior class for the next several years, will this be continually happening then, if that's how it?
Possibly be, yes.
Okay. Just trying to understand it, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this item?
Guess I'd be curious, how this will be tied to taking on out of district students? So does it factor that piece in, or is it all based on kind of in district and continuous enrollment?
This is based on any district.
Okay.
Enrollment. Everyone, all the ones. The revenue that we receive for out of district students is an additional revenue stream that goes into the general fund.
Okay.
And it comes in two pieces every year. We just received the first half of those tuition payments right before Christmas, and we will be receiving the second half in May or June. So that's a standalone increase from the out of district.
Okay, thank you.
Get back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I'll move the approve.
I'll second.
Enthusiastic.
Okay, so moved by Katie and seconded by Darcy. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay for money.
Good job getting your paperwork on the seat.
Yeah.
It's the enrollment. I had nothing to do with this.
Okay, so we will move on to F, and I believe Dave will say what we're gonna do. at this one.
Yeah, it's Phillips, Jacob Phillips named after it, but because when we first reviewed this, I thought this was a real general privacy agreement form that we typically do. But there are some components of this that I believe need some further review. They're looking at it more closely right for the meeting. I realize there's some addendums and things like that. That I think we need to run through legal counsel further before making a final decision. So I would recommend that we postpone this recommendation consideration to the February meeting. If that's the correct procedure.
The correct procedure is to table it.
Yeah.
Or to send it back to committee, which it sounds like it needs to do.
So are there any clarifying questions on this item? All right, and then we'll go for public comments on this item. Now, back to the board for,
Question. Dave, I'm sorry, Dave. Is this a service and or thing that we're using? That what we're putting this out for, in other words, is that keeping us from using something?
It will delay the time that we do the.
We're not using it now without.
Correct, we will
Okay.
not do it without, so, yeah, it will delay that. It's a screening for mental health, but there's some recent legislation that I should look at real closely, final review of this before we can for final decision.
That said, I would make a motion to be table this back to committee for more, back to administration for more. Better.
I'll second that.
okay, so a motion made by Shannon to table until February meeting and seconded by Darcy. All in favor? Okay, G, Derek Crum is up. Human resources update.
Just so you know, that when that comes back, you know, if it's the proper procedure will be to.
On table. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just wanted to give you a few brief HR updates and then take a little bit of time to look at our updated hiring process document. So I'll just hit some headlines of the things that I've been focused on in collaboration with the superintendent, the administrators, and the staff. Following on from our evaluation and investigation session in November, I've been reviewing a lot of the evaluations that we've received so far and streamlining our best practices. We have some training scheduled, as Adrian mentioned, the labor management training at the end of January, and then also an HR training with all supervisors and administrators in February that is being offered with MTSBA through Deborah Silk. And then also looking at all of our job descriptions to update them. This is an ongoing process every time we advertise something to make sure that the language is current and the duties are reflective of the actual duties we require. And we'll be continuing to work on that as we move through this calendar year. Also working on personnel planning issues, in particular, collaborating with the board on the superintendent search and then also the mold down principal, as well as our general staffing updates that come up every year. HR sponsored a new staff roundtable in mid-December and invited all the new staff from this year to give us feedback how it's going, what is great and what we can do better. So we have some concrete action items out of that. And then also working on some leave reviews, just to clarify what types of leave are available and how staff can navigate that and also utilize and then properly input their leave requests into the system. So that's kind of the high level overview of all the different things that we're working on. And then we offer to you the updated standard operating procedure on the hiring process. This is really just a streamlining of the existing processes, but I wanted to just mention a few things that have changed due to adding the HR component or my position into the process, which has hopefully also alleviated some of the work of the supervisors in reviewing candidates and making recommendations to you all for hire. So HR now does the review of initial applications for documentary completeness and qualifications. And then we consult for candidates to interview. So we consult with the supervisors for candidates to interview or to advertise further, particularly if we're looking at transitioning from an internal only process to X. The HR team is now scheduling all of the interviews. And then this process also has clearly defined consistency of interview panels. So that for internal positions, we always have a supervisor and an administrator on the panel. And for external positions, always a supervisor, administrator, and a peer. And HR is also involved in this process. And then HR does the final documentary review before we call candidates to reconfirm their interest and let them know that we would like, the superintendent would like to recommend their hire to the board. So this takes the burden off of supervisors for the good news, but also the bad news in the case that candidates are not moved to the next stage in the process. And so we do that contact in writing for external candidates, and we make phone calls for internal candidates when the non-selection is also made. And supervisors can contact recommended candidates and internal candidates who are not selected after HR makes the initial contact. So it just makes the process very clear, and also that it's fair and transparent for everyone. So there's not a question of one thing happening over here and another thing happening. So those are kind of the main things to highlight. And then just one update, which is on the second to last page. This is regarding the fingerprint and background check. In this draft, it's for the internal candidates. It states that internal candidates would also be subject to the fingerprint background check, which is true, but they already have passed it or they wouldn't be working for us. So we'll just fix that particular language when we finalize this so that it's not confusing or putting people through that process another time without that. So that's what I have. Do you have any questions or other things that I can answer for you?
I can't remember where I saw it, so kind of quickly, but the talent ed, is that a program that can use?
Yeah, that's the system that we use for posting jobs and for receiving the applications. And it also has the process component for the application, that the vacancy announcement, and then the hiring process to move through between HR, the supervisors, the superintendent, and so on.
Oh, of course, I have a couple questions. One of the, I'm just wondering, going back to your high level view, you talked about your December roundtable with new hires. So you said you got some actionable items. Could you give us an example of one of those?
Sure. So we gave a survey and looked at all of the things that they've experienced so far, like orientation, the mentor program, the checklist of HR onboarding, and other things like pay and benefits. And we also asked 2 questions at the session, which is what are we doing well and what could we do better or differently? So I'm really happy. I told them my mandate is to ensure that the school district is a welcoming, safe, and inclusive place to work, as well as what we offer to our students. And categorically, everyone was able to say that they have someone, whether it's officially a mentor or someone else in their office, in their workplace, that's helped them to navigate both the place of working here, but also the job that they're doing. And they were naming people and saying really positive things. So that's super fantastic. And then just on the actionable pieces, really for people who come in maybe a little bit off cycle, and so they were not able to participate in the orientation at the beginning of the year, or other things come up, and just some ideas about how to sort of break up and reinforce training with different hands-on and other opportunities.
Thank you. And then, so going to your HR document that you provided, thank you very much. This was really great to see, and hopefully easier to follow for everybody. I don't know what it looked like before, but one of the questions I had, I guess I'm wondering when we will only do an internal process versus could they all just be under one process, internal and external at the same time? do we need both? Like, how often are we only hiring internal?
So it's a very good question. So the CBA, the WEA CBA dictates that a position has to be posted first internally for 5 business days, and for the classified staff for 5 calendar days. So that's the reason that we post internally. Sometimes we get candidates through that process and it's enough. And sometimes we don't get any. And so then we will basically automatically open it externally because we need to fill the job. Or sometimes it will just be either not a complete qualification or we need a broader range of applicants in order to make the best fit for the hire.
Okay.
So, but it's CBA driven as to why we do both the internal and then the external. And there is a way that we can advertise both simultaneously, but it's in a conversation with the superintendent and the unions.
Okay, and then do we have like a memo that's signed by the union saying that that was accepted?
There would likely be some
Okay,
documentation.
yeah, that's showing that they're in agreement that we're posting them both at the same time. Okay, perfect, thank you. And then my other question was about qualified candidate, the note about what distinguishes it on page 3, I believe. Is under receive, review, and screen applicants.
Yeah.
And so the notice qualified applicants are those who meet the minimum qualifications for the position per the job description and have submitted their required documentation. So whenever we're talking about hiring, we're always talking about hiring the most qualified person. This is gonna sound horrible, but it makes it sound like the bar's pretty low.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious. Like when I'm thinking about, certain jobs, be like, well, yeah, I've done it, but you could have somebody. I don't know. Can you explain the definition of that?
So I will also say that I passed this through MTSBA before bringing it to you. And this was also a point that they wanted to make sure was clarified, which is helpful, right? Because the legal definition of qualified. So in this case, when we post the job, it states what's required, whether it's the education level or certain other things. And then sometimes you'll also see preferred qualifications. So those would be more like the icing on the cake, right? But we can't interview anybody if they don't meet those requirements.
Okay.
So, and then they also have to give us the things that are required in the application, which is the application itself. There's certain things they have to sign in there saying that they understand the terms of working for the district, and then a resume and some references. And then if there's credentials that they have to give us proof of that. So whether it's a teaching certification or a certain education.
Okay, so it's kind of like the lowest, and then you move up from there, right? Is that kind of okay? Perfect. Thank you.
And then generally, where HR gets involved, especially, we've actually had pretty good luck lately with getting a number of qualified, like minimally qualified candidates for jobs. And so that's where we have a consultation with the supervisor to decide which to interview. Because there's no need to interview 7 when you can see that 3 are clearly kind of rising above, and we don't need to waste people's time. But we would always have the opportunity to dig deeper into the list if we needed to, following the interviews, if they hadn't found someone suitable.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I have a question too. Under this scheduling and preparing for interviews, your interview team should include supervisor, building administrator, and peers with participation from HR. I think we decided, haven't we, as a board, that trustees will be included on the interview. Is that not correct?
This is only for staff, not administration.
Yeah, I think not for staff.
Oh, not for staff. No, well, I'm thinking for principal. And so that's gonna be different than this. This is just for staff.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you'll have a different interview process that you'll give us for principal?
They get tailor-made for the administrator level and so on. So I think the principal, for example, process is being decided. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
But it will definitely include board members.
okay. That's what I was curious about. I didn't realize this didn't encompass.
The-
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for doing those
Yes.
focus groups. The roundtable discussions that you had with the new faculty. I think it's awesome that you just open up one more channel of communication, and I think even by having those, it just lets people know we value them. I wondered if they were during the workday, if they were voluntary, what your turnout was. And I also wondered, are you gonna do any with not new faculty and staff, like with established?
So-
I wondered like how it works with the union, like is there overlap there, like how does that work?
Well, I was lucky enough to have the concurrence of my administrator colleagues to use some of the PLC time
Okay.
on one particular Wednesday. They determined that it would be a valuable use of the time, and it was on one of the Wednesdays. It wasn't like an all hands staff meeting or something. We invited 36 new staff member, and we had about half who came to the program. Several others completed the survey online, so we got a good data set, because usually try to get like 40% to get kind of a mark. And yeah, in terms of, and it's interesting you say that, because one of the things they also said was like, I've worked at a lot of places and nobody ever like asked me anything like this before. And that's just like one more way that we feel like. So anyway, I mean, it's a good point of information. I think the feedback is also helpful for us as the leadership team and just colleagues too. But yeah, in terms of inviting other groups, I'm totally open to it. We're kicking around a few ideas, like offering a retirement or like early retirement seminar, just giving information to people about different things. And I've also had people coming just to see me on various topics, which has been really, really nice. I think I was teasing Dave, like, who keeps telling people they can talk to HR? But I've actually been very happy to talk to all the people who've come to see me and be able to understand their perspective and help them to work through, ways of maybe solving problems, or just knowing that they feel heard and they have a voice that can be represented. So
Thank you for taking that initiative. I think that's just awesome.
Well, it's nice to hear too that people have mentors, and then mentors that they've, it's nice to hear that.
Yeah.
And then too, I think just reading through all of this, it just reiterates the need that we had for you, and I think how fortunate we all are that, yeah, so I appreciate the organization, and I think it's invaluable.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So we are now moving into out of district students with Mr. Louise.
Yeah, so now we, this is again, as you remember, we changed the time frames that we did some of these. We're in our January, our semester time, considering out of district applications. So we have the following numbers that represent students as out of, that are recommended as out of district students for the second semester. I wanted to mention the makeup of some of these. We have students from pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Can you say which grade levels was like, is there the number of one?
So there's one for pre-K, one for kindergarten, 5 first grade, 1 second, 2 third grade, 2 fourth grade, and 1 fifth grade.
Are they like parents work in Whitefish, child is in school somewhere else, or do we know?
A variety, yeah, each one is
Different.
Can I just clarify? I always get confused on this. I'm sorry, every year. So are these kids who are current, potentially, these are kids who are just joining us this semester? It's not like they were in our school last semester and we have to renew it because it's a new year, or?
This isn't the renewal.
Okay.
That will be coming up soon, but make it.
Sorry.
Some of these are current. Sometimes what happens is people move out of district a while, so they might start with us.
Okay,
And then they move.
They want to continue.
And they want to continue.
okay.
So there are
That's why.
4 of these who are current.
Oh, got it. They moved, but they moved out.
Did anybody ever create a policy grandfather them in, or you can't? Okay.
That's part of this.
Is it-
Bring them here.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? Any public comments on this item? Back to the board for further discussion or emotion.
Is the new policy of just doing the approvals twice a year, has it alleviated some legwork in the, or I don't know, has it made things easier in the district office? Has it helped? Is one of our goals?
I would agree. I think it's helped, yes.
Yeah.
It's helped with this, and I think it makes it, if we continue to do this, I think we'll see parents know that those are the times, and it's a time we can make that transition effectively. I think it's most beneficial for the students too, in my opinion, because they're starting with a time that makes sense for learning. But, and I think it has reduced the amount of constant, people are looking at these and considering.
Great, that's good for the whole situation. I think. I move we approve.
Second. So, moved by Darcy, seconded by Quincy, all in favor? Welcome and welcome back. Okay. We will move into reports. Do we have any administrator announcements?
You
Do.
Right.
My turn.
You sat so patiently, no, thank you.
Thanks for having me. When I was asked to do this, I was thinking, well, what's going on at Moldon that's new that not everybody knows about already? And I couldn't think of anything really. We got new babies, we've got a few new staff members, we've got a new baby on the way. So those kind of things are happening, and those are all exciting. But then the other day I was talking to a parent, and she started talking about the early lit program and what her child's in the early lit program. And I thought, that's perfect. It's relatively new. She was raving about how much her child has learned in the short amount of time she's been there, and how Mrs. Hanson has done such a beautiful job of setting that program up. And so, thanks to the state legislature and OPI and Lisa Bloom and Kelly Miller and Sarah Miller and Dave for kind of throwing this all together, and Lori Barron, because when we first started this thing, we didn't really have a clue what we were going to do. And when Mrs. Hanson came along and became a teacher, she just, she was like, well, how we do this? And she goes, and I said, make it your own. Yeah. And she did. And she has done such a great job with putting that program together. And it's really starting to, I think the word's getting out, and it's starting to blossom a little bit. And now there's going to be some changes from what I understand taking place with additions of possibly math, not just reading and literacy, but math, some growth within enrollment restrictions, screening. Students have to be screened. And so we can probably, I think before there were some restrictions on the time when they could be screened. Now possibly that could be whenever it needs to be done. And so, and not only that, but just a little bit of increased funding. I don't know. I can't guarantee that. I don't know where the legislature is with that, but it's just great. I mean, they're a part of the school. The other kids, the kindergartners kind of think they're the big brothers and sisters of the really lit kids. The name's going to change. I know that Jess Hanson's she has an idea about a name change, and then Lisa and Kelly and Sarah were talking yesterday about different things that are coming along down the pike for the early literacy program. And so it's really great to see them. Like I said, they're just a part of our population now. They're a part of our family. They some of them stick around to eat lunch, and because they're in there in half days, and they just they're just little mini kindergartners, and so mini mullies, so I thought that would be a good thing to talk a little bit about. It's just kind of a bright, shiny little piece of our day all the time. So I thought I would share that with you. Just going to tell you that it's right now. I think we're at about 20 total. I think it might be 8 and 10, might be 18, but and they're on half days. But I think that's again, that could change a little bit. But like I said, they love it. And I was a little worried last year when we first started because it didn't get a whole lot, but then it kind of It's starting, like I said, it's more about, it's starting to grow, and it's just fun. And then Jess Hansen and these guys, and Kelly's not here. Jeff done such a great job of putting it all together and just making it work, so.
Will you remind me, do they come every day? Like I know they're morning or afternoon, but do they, it's
Yeah.
not like they come 3 days a week. or
No,
anything,
they're
like,
there every day,
So
every
they're
day.
grind, they're getting the grind in.
I don't know if I told you this before, we'll finish with this, but, Kelly Miller's little boy is in, he's there. And, so we were walking in the door one day early in the school year, and I'm opening the door for him, and he goes, "Hey, John." And I said, "Hey, Riggs, how you doing?" And at that time, Jess was on maternity leave, so her long-term guest teacher was saying, "Oh, that's Mr. Coyne, that's Mr. Coyne." And he goes, "Ah, I know him. He's in my mom's class." So that's kind of fun. Thank you. Unless you have any questions, you got it.
Great, sorry. We had a lot of fun in that class. It's like funny. Okay. Thanks, John. We'll move on to trustee announcements. And so I think we changed this is my announcement. We changed it a little bit because in the past, we've always done a contract renewal or extension. This was been an action item. And because that is not the case this year, we just put it as a trustee announcement. And so I am notifying everybody that an annual superintendent evaluation was conducted on January 6, 2026, and indicated overall effective and highly effective ratings. So that's awesome. And then everyone also, I think, is important to note that McPherson and Jacobson will be here tomorrow. And there are community meetings in the board room, and they are scheduled for 11 a.m. as well as 6:30 p.m. So if anyone's listening, but it's important, I think that, again, to be involved in the process, so you can have, be a part of the future of the district. So I do hope people show up.
I reached out to a few people that I know that I thought might be interested in coming, just to make sure
Yeah.
they, it's nice to get input. That doesn't happen very often. So hopefully they get some.
Yeah, we'll see.
In addition to their focus groups, are they doing a survey?
They will.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I think at that January 20th meeting, I think we focus in more.
Okay.
On the question, yes, okay, based on those things. Great, that is a good question to ask her.
Okay. Speaking about the superintendent, I just wanted to kind of say to the abyss of the people, I had a question about, why we hired a search firm and. So I just wanted to reiterate for the public that, we hired a search firm because the board is in charge of hiring the superintendent. It's like the one position we're in charge of hiring, and one, there's just not enough time in the day for people who have full-time jobs and are elected but still volunteers and want to know how to dive through all of the applications and find the criteria. And so we really need to hire experts and people who do that for a living to help facilitate that. So it's not out of anything other than it really is what is best for the district to have somebody come in and help us out with that process. So I just want to kind of clarify that for people who are confused as to why we needed that.
Are there any other trustee?
I had one other thing I wanted to say. I sent this article to Lisa this weekend. It was in the New York Times, but it was talking about Mississippi schools. And Mississippi's always been like, oh god, at least you're not Mississippi, right? Like they were 49 for everything. But they've completely revamped a lot of their education and their scores are going way up and the kids are doing really, really well. But what they started doing is also a lot of the same things we currently do. They have the science of reading, they use assessments, they are taking assessments like a lot more than we take assessments like every couple of weeks. But it was just really interesting to see that this article that was in the New York Times talking about how Mississippi changed so many of their things were things that our district also does. And I think it speaks to the success of what we've done. And I felt like you could have put like your school district in some of the sentences and it would have been very similar. So I thought that was great. It's great that we're on the cutting edge of all these things and doing the right things. So kudos to the staff and the teachers and the administrators for finding all the best things and doing them with fidelity.
I guess I just wanted to say along those lines, it's just a quick shout out to the Abyss. of all the people who are contributing, who are full-time working people, including everyone on this board, who we do our superintendent search right now. We're doing a principal search right now. We passed a bond, we're building, there's construction committees, like there's just a whole
And we're
lot.
paying a lot of taxes.
And we're paying a lot of taxes. And hopefully we have trustees that are gonna reapply, oh, why, to join our team again, like all those things, like there's just a lot going on. That people don't see behind the scenes of every Tuesday meeting or whatnot, and I just wanna say that takes a huge amount. And so, starting the year off with gratitude.
Okay, we will move on to the superintendent announcement.
So we have a few items on here, again, the calendars are there for you to see all the activities, but we've heard a lot about those already this evening. Unfortunately, that continues, the superintendent probably will never need to go over a lot of this stuff, because it's already covered. It's great, but, those are there for reference if you click on those. District updates, wanted to update you on the principal hiring process. You know, we are working on that. We want to make sure that we follow. You know, I'm not conflict with the timeline of the superintendent search process. So one of the things we're looking at, I wrote down some notes here, the notes about some of the timelines. So basically, we're targeting an April 7th or 8th for interviews. And so that's following spring break. And then we'll possibly having a recommendation to the board on April 14th. So that's working back from there. We hope to open the position on February 2nd. Some screening on around March 9th, schedule those interviews around March 17th. So maybe do it April 7th, do a meet and greet right before our interviews the following day. So those are some of the timelines we're looking at to consider. We'll go over that with our newly appointed trustees who will be a part of the process. We'll go through all the hiring procedure process. But I think we got a good outline, working on that with Sarah Crum. Any questions about that?
Do the principals go to the school and meet the staff there too, or is it, how does that work? Are
We'll
they-
do an evening session where they can come.
Okay.
And meet them as well.
Okay.
We won't do a tour because we did that as a, it's kind of a COVID related
Okay.
tour, yeah. Because that was our only option.
Got it, okay, thank you.
We couldn't do the meet.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay, thanks.
So you would encourage staff, so in summary, that 7th potentially would be the meet and greet where staff wanted to, that's what you're saying, and then the interviews would actually be the 8th. What you're saying, gotcha.
So parents and staff could come.
And just community
April
in
2nd.
general, okay,
Yeah,
no, got
to
it,
meet the principals.
the candidates, okay.
In the past, have we, sometimes done a right after school, set up for the staff? Seems to me I remember doing it right after school sometimes.
I can't remember the exact timeline for this, but yeah, we can look at, yeah, it
That
might be.
That might be helpful for staff.
Yeah.
Because they could go, rather than coming back in the evening, so many of them have lots of commitments in the evening.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah. Might be helpful.
And that meeting actually we wouldn't have new trustees. Right?
No,
There are new trustees
not
up there
yet.
until May.
May.
Yeah,
May.
so it'd be the old gang.
It'd be the old.
So, this strategy.
I think we have appointed trustees for that, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
Brady and Jerry.
Right, sure. Right.
thank you. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you.
And so then, just a real brief update on the surveys, we're continuing to work on those, I'm working, closely, Deborah Silk, still hoping for the end of January to get the school climate surveys, the PBIS school climate surveys out at that point, so keep you posted, that's their help, get them out of that. And in the community engagement plan, we hope to go over in our next meeting. It's part of our strategic plan, it's one of our documents. We just need to review it and update it, similar to the professional development plan that we just reviewed here a little bit ago. There's a few areas that we're considering, and we've talked about this work sessions, things like that, but possibly adding community engagement strategies such as farmers market, some other things like that, including that in the community engagement plan. Possibly removing K-12 Connect and doing something different with that. Addressing building tours in some way within. So those are some thoughts that will be included in the draft that will be presented in the next board meeting. Any questions about that or any thoughts regarding community engagement plan before the next board?
Thanks, Dave.
All right, so enrollment, then we have, in front of you, if we click on that, then you can see our enrollment. There are some changes. In that document. Boy, now I'm gonna have to blow that out. You're good, Larry.
Hey, magnifying glass.
So it went down a little bit, but that's, we do see sometimes that happens at this time of year. We do have some early graduates sometimes, things like that, so upcoming, but anyway, we'll be moving into that that time for February is our next count date, because we're watching this closely. If you go down to the end of the document, you can see where we've had some withdrawn and some have enrolled with us, but going to Western US, Eastern US, some of those who have withdrawn, and some from the Western US community. Just had some visit today, I think. Will be enrolling with us as well. What was it? Free for the minutes.
Everyone gets like a free high chew or something on, was it February 2nd? I guess a rubber ducky.
Exactly. So pretty typical changes, not a lot of changes actually. Any questions about them all? All right, so resignations, you can see those in front of you, and we have some retirements as well.
Lucy, you are up. So before we review the financial report, I just wanna remind everybody, I know there's nobody online right now, and that the window for the candidates to file is now open, and it will close on February 9th. You may remember that I told you last time that there have been some changes in the election law, in the window for candidacy is now a little bit short. I have not, I haven't spoken to anybody who expressed interest. But it may not mean that there is no interest. What we did this time, we posted the candidate packet online on our website, in addition to having paper copies available with the district office. So it's very possible that people are just taking the shortcut and downloading it, and they'll surprise me on February 9th. So, as you know, we have 3 seats that will be coming up for the election. There was a nice article in the Daily Interlake reminding everybody out there about the deadline. So hopefully that will draw some focus. So that's just.
So just to clarify, so the deadline is to February 9th, and maybe I misunderstood, maybe I was wrong when I just said that. Did we still not vote though until, and they don't get sworn in until May?
Yes, election day doesn't change.
It's just the cutoff is
first.
Cutoff this way, so.
Yes.
Yeah, it used to be like the end of March.
Yeah,
So that's how it
later
works.
spring break. Because I mean, that's a big commitment to make so many months in advance. I can't remember where they changed it to.
I think if you're interested and you're committed, moving the deadline up by 5 or 6 weeks shouldn't make any difference.
Okay.
I think it is better for the candidacy window to be shorter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because nobody ever applied, until the last week anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who are running for reelection, I was like, Lucy.
We have 20 minutes before the deadline's up. Let's work on the application. No, like, no, all kidding aside, it's always been like that. So there's no reason to have the window open for 4 months.
I didn't realize it had been open so long.
Yeah, it's always, it started, always around Christmas time, through, the end of spring break. Maybe not 4 months, but 3.5.
A long time. Yeah.
Okay, I trust that you reviewed the financial report. Any questions? Everything, both revenues and expenditures are, where they should be, this time of.
So like just looking at your beautiful graphs,
Okay.
I'm just thinking of like making the Evento one, so it still says we
Yeah.
have 100% available. Is that because we haven't needed to dip into, like, do we only get into that if we have a student in need, or what would be a reason to access that, or have we not needed to yet?
We need it, as you can see, it's only $10,000, so it's past, I will work with Sarah we do have McKinney Window students, obviously. It's more about finalizing what they need the most. We talked about, in addition to school backpacks or clothing for winter time, it could be gas cards, for fuel or bus tickets, things of that nature. So we're just finalizing what we spend on. This is not something that we use in on a monthly basis. Got this grant such a title or idea where the expenditures are linked to personnel expenses. This is more one-time shopping spree to support these students. So that's why we're still seeing it available.
And then would you also speak to the state tax credit incentive? Would you mind speaking about that?
Thank you for reminding me. That's another one. Sorry, nobody's online. But just as same as the last few years, the Montana Department of Revenue is making it possible for taxpayers to donate money to public schools for innovative educational programs. And that will be a tax deduction on people's 2026 tax return. The deadline to submit donations, it could be donations can be made by either individuals or by companies or businesses. The deadline is January 20th. And the reason why the deadline is January 20th is because January 23rd is when the state online portal, the donations portal opens. So I would like to have all the documentation in hand by then, so that I can enter those donations in the portal. We can the limit is not that it was ever an issue, but the donation limit is $200,000 per individual or business. We were never as lucky as receive as much money, but every dollar helps. We currently have two donations waiting to be used.
I think it's important to know, like, it could be $1,000, right? Like, I mean, everyone pays state tax, income tax, and so it doesn't have to be a big amount.
It can be $20, if there is no minimum.
And you have forms, or the forms online?
Yes, it's all online. So under the news and announcements section of the website, there's one section just for these tax credits and all the info is there, including the form to be filled out and handed to the district office.
And then what's the full, like the amount for the state that can be used?
6 million?
Okay, I knew they increased it.
I believe it's 6 million, yeah,
And
Awesome, thank you.
is this still first come, first serve?
yes, it is.
So whoever gets their finger on the button first,
Exactly.
which,
So.
and they still consider it fair that districts that are very rich and have very rich people can get the
Your
biggest
fastest
amount of
typer.
money if they're the fastest
Yes.
typer.
Yes.
And
If-
that speaks to equality and equal education.
Right, of the Constitution.
I agree with you, yes, so if somebody walks in and makes a $500,000 or $1 million donation, they enter that. And the rest of the state only has $5 million
As happened, as happened the first year.
Yes.
One very rich school district got very
200,000.
3/4 of the money.
Yeah.
Per
Right?
person.
Yes.
Over and that.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a clarifying question as we look at federal grants and idea and all that kind of stuff? Just especially with what happened with Department of Education and funding and that kind of, I know. At the time, it was that, well, we're set for this year, but this really would be the following year, which would not be next school year. Are there just any things on the horizon that you see as potentially that we should know about?
Oh, no.
Okay.
As of.
As of today, correct, okay.
Because the title and idea programs were put involved before Department of Education came into existence, is my understanding. That's why they, as the fact that the Department of Education will cease to exist, has nothing to do with the title and idea programs.
They don't get it this time. right?
At this time,
Their special education. So, services.
Which is how we report in tracks, is just gonna relocate
Yeah.
in theory. Thank you, for clarifying that.
And what about the title programs?
the same.
They're
We're-
all gonna be,
We're not aware of any issues on the horizon. That's what.
Any other questions for Lucy? We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any clarifying questions for the consent? Any public comment on the consent agenda? Back to the board for further discussion or again.
moving consent agenda.
But that.
All right, moved by Jerry and seconded by Percy, all in favor. I have one last.
Adjourn.
A motion to adjourn and it was seconded by Quincy. All in favor.
So you moved it?
Yep, you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh,
Everybody.